Hi, my name is Jaden Smith, and I'm going to be talking about the case of Dred Scott versus Stanford. This had a really important impact in American history. This case was wrongfully denying enslaved people and their rights and citizenship. This case not only supported slavery but also showed how deeply unfair treatment based on race was back then. And after all this history, after these issues still affect us today, and hopefully after learning about this case and its impacts, we can understand the ongoing fight for equality and the importance of treating everybody with fairness. The Dred Scott versus Stanford case was all about an enslaved man named Dred Scott. He fought for his freedom, but the Supreme Court denied his request because at the time he was not a citizen, even though slaves in the free states had some rights to freedom. This case also occurred during the time when slavery was a major issue in the states. Talking about how the Supreme Court decisions in the Dred Scott case was a huge step back in the struggle against slavery, declaring that enslaved persons like Dred Scott were not citizens, lacked right to seek their rights of freedom. Even though this case was quite old, it still relates and connected to a lot of current events today. The Dred Scott case and the Supreme Court ruled out that enslaved African Americans were not considered citizens and therefore did not have the same rights as free individuals. This relates to my first current event about Houston's committing of cleaning up after illegal dumpings because it highlights the importance of enforcing laws and agreements, just like how the court decision in this case affected the rights of enslaved individuals, also committing to upholding laws and protecting rights to the community. Moving to my second current event about Texas Senate passing bills that are affecting immigrant rights. This connects to my Dred Scott case because it also deals with issues of rights and equality, just as Dred Scott case was denied rights as an enslaved individual. The bills passed by Texas Senate may pose threats to rights of immigrants. Both situations involve the struggle for equal rights and the impact of legal decisions on belittled communities. So, in all, both of these cases connect to Dred Scott's case because they both have the same themes and rights of freedom and equality and impact to legal decisions in our society. I think the Dred Scott versus Stanford case is still important because it still holds a very big impact on our society. And it shows that enslaved African Americans were not considered citizens and didn't have the same rights as free people. This decision was unfair and denied basic human rights. The importance of fighting equality and justice is just a big part of our history that helps us understand the ongoing struggle for equal rights. So, to wrap it up, the Dred Scott versus Stanford case was a really important moment in our history. It showed the unfair things that back then, with slavery being allowed and people being treated differently because of their race, even though it happened in the 19th century, it's still big impact today, and it reminds us that we need to keep fighting for equality and treat everybody fairly. And I hope that everybody in our society we can learn fast and towards the future and where everybody is respected with fairness.